Hi Jim, good evening to you. Not watching the Olympics? Thought everybody be watching that sort of stuff. Personally, I don't care for it. The Olympics have long since lost the illusion of entertainment for me. I think particularly these days because you can see pretty much any sport you want anytime on YouTube or something similar. It's like no longer do you have to wait for your once every 4 years or maybe once every 2 years if you're watching the Commonwealth Games as well for your chance to see what you want to watch. Instead now it's just like let's go to YouTube and watch whatever we want. I'd be very surprised if the Olympics last for too many more years. A civil up from New York. There we go. Firkin, Miles, Pierre, Steve, Barry, Jose, Mary. This is a bit of a toughie, this one. There we go. Yeah, I'm really not sure what to make of this particular one. It gets to 20 volts, but then it just keeps sort of like slow cycling. It's not a rapid shutdown or anything like that. It just slowly sort of goes and tries to boot, then shuts down, tries to boot and shuts down, and then just keeps going. It doesn't actually permanently stop. So it's a little bit weird. What have we got? We've got a 1041. So normally I'm used to these actually having shorted caps, but this one isn't doing that. Anyway, 741, I'm just going to adjust it so that it reports that we've got the 1041 board. 820, 1041. Zero in the wrong place. Sometimes that's useful, sometimes it's not. Okay. Well, let's just get this thing out and have a look and see what's going on. So, TX4 we need, TX5. First thing we've obviously got to do is get that battery disconnected. Don't want to have an accidental bzzz moment. That'd be most unfortunate. Hey Tony. Yeah, just sort of getting rolling. It's been a bit of a better week for me, thankfully, in terms of successes. There's still some duds. Still got plenty of duds. But there's some successes. And by the way, I got that iPad Air, first generation iPad Air. I was lucky. The customer, well not the customer, but the previous owner remembered all the details I needed, so yeah, managed to put it back to use. See, Travis Stanford, is it useful to put older readings into flexboard view? Say like, oh yeah, I mean yeah, the older boards. You mean like for the diode readings and things like that? Absolutely. I say populate every single one you can if you have them. Definitely. It's all useful. Like, I mean, I think I've done 2936s, or at least I plan to do 2936s. If you have a known good working board, then it's worth adding. Hey Jessica Dell. Just need to, there's a bit of, what do you call it? There's a bit of flux on the handle of the screwdriver and it's annoying me as I'm normally every couple of weeks I will on a weekend take all of these tools and give them a wash because yeah, they build up flux and stuff like that. Oh, is Erica still stream, does she? Luis Lopez. Oh, Mars, right. Yes, you got one of those splitters. Yes, I've got one. I occasionally use them. Often they're actually quite useful to just simply reheat the sandwich. And if you give it a teeny tiny little nudge and then let it cool back down, you sort of seem to cure at least a reasonable portion of the faults that those boards come in with, particularly if they've been dropped. You just give it a bit of a reheat, let it reflow slightly, tap it ever so slightly, and there you go, you fix the phone. Hey Tony. Sam, well, if you're in New York, you can always go to Lewis Rossman. He's now doing training courses. If you're not in New York, I don't really have any recommendations, but certainly if you can get your hand on any MacBooks of anything pretty much from 2012 onwards, then you can probably learn stuff off them, even if they are working. Yeah, I just noticed that that top plate does come off. These 1990 machines do have a good number of screws in them, but it's not too bad to disassemble and reassemble these ones. They're not like the 1700s, which have got all the annoying flexes everywhere. This one's just mostly just screws and nothing else. Lamine is it? Layadia? Apologies for butchering your name there. I am 48, 49, 48, 49, 48 I think, yep. I can appreciate getting tired of the job. I have been doing tech work since I was about 16. So it's a long time for me, but I do tend to change it up periodically, every 10 years or so. So I've obviously done that a few times, and I tend to run multiple concurrent sort of jobs. So when I start getting a bit weary of doing one thing, so long as I don't have commitments, as in customer jobs that I have to finish, then I can chop and change to keep it interesting. Barry, you're going to say an ISL. Well, I hope it's not an ISL, because that's the 9240 on these ones, I believe. Where's my number 8? Here we go, number 8. Jim, it's not that late. Jim Allen. It's only 11 o'clock. So we're just getting started. Miles, you having troubles with 1466s? I always forget about the shroud being stuck to the fan assemblies. Alright, so it's moderately, lightly dusty. Lightly to moderate. Hey McGrams, Andre Costa. And we do have some good dust bunnies, so that's a good sign for me. It means there's probably going to be corrosion where I expect it. Now the question is whether it works or not. Trifecta of Jims. And that's funny because my wife is currently watching According to Jim. So it looks like the night of Jim. Gym night. Lots of exercise. Alrighty, I can see definitely one spot, but I don't know if it's going to be enough to explain the fault, but we'll give it a shot. Yeah, that's pretty classic. Okay, that's not actually shorted, that one, but it will become shorted in a short amount of time. But that one, on the other hand, is a little more... Okay, I will get rid of that cap anyway. And there are damn ants on my workbench. They've found my 80-20 mix, and as a consequence, the little buggers are just keep going into the bottle. Yeah, drunk ants would actually be a better option, to be honest, because at least they wouldn't be harassing me so much. Is that corrosion down there, or is that just... Can't tell if that's corrosion or not. There's some junk around there. I'm not going to disturb it yet. Looks more like there's been a bunch of lacewing flies or something in here. Okay, so I really don't... I'll sod off. The town formal prom, whatever you want to call it, is happening tonight. And as a consequence, there is a lot of very testosterone driven drivers at them running around. All trying their very best to impress upon how fantastic they are and how it's the perfect night for them to partake in certain activities. Hey, Macbook. Yeah, this is going to be fun. Okay, my next theory is maybe it could be the power button, the on-off button, that's actually problematic. Because sometimes what will happen is if that gets shorted out, it will do this behavior where it will start up and then shut down, because obviously it's kind of like holding that power button down, and it will get rolling and then shut down, get rolling and then shut down. So I'm going to test that by plugging in the USB-C and seeing if it stays steady. It doesn't matter that we've taken that cap off the other side, that's a well decoupled line, so I'm not too concerned about it. I will put a replacement back on, but for the moment there's no need. Okay, so we're at 20 volts. Sitting at 140, it should jump up in a bit. Maybe, maybe not. Nope. Oh wow, we're not even... Okay, we're actually doing slightly worse. Interesting. The reason why we could be doing slightly worse is maybe the cap that I removed was starting to play up, and as a consequence, by removing it, I reduced the overall short, but it doesn't mean that it's actually cured the board. Okay, we're going to do cheat cam just to see if there is anything jumping up. Now I'm going to be focusing around this area here. I just need to connect it back up. Yeah, that looks like something's pretty hot over there. Yep. Warm. Okay. So there's actually a second cap there that's faulty, which is what I had my suspicions on, but this was an easy way to find out. Jimbo around about mid to high 20 Celsius at this point. Okay, if I had to guess, I'd say it's this bottom one here. That's looking pretty shonky. I'm not going to bother lighting it up to have a look. We'll just measure the resistance now. Okay, all of a sudden it's decided it's a 1.59, so yeah. The main, it's a FLIR 1 Pro camera, and it's running a custom software job that I've written, and it's only for Linux, I'm afraid. So I'm quite happy with it. Obviously I wrote the software, so it makes me biased. Now, obviously it could be any capacitor on this network, and there's quite a lot of other capacitors elsewhere on the board that are on that net, but with these particular boards it's almost always these two caps. The one that I removed already and the one I'm removing now. Now what threw me is it's not their normal behavior to have the 200 odd milliamps that we saw at the start. However, I think what happened in this case is that the order of the short changed. And what I mean by that is that typically this rail here, which also includes that cap, this rail is the one that shorts out first, and this one just starts getting into a bit of a bad shape. But I think in this case, this rail shorted first and this one was lagging behind. Hey, Painter. Alright, let's see if we've got a... guess what? Micro probes in the fingertips do not go nicely. Alright, so we've got a much better value there, 360 plus, much better than 1.5 ohms. Okay, so we just put some replacements on. Jimbo, the sad thing is it's supposed to be winter here. Now I know that these particular capacitors here in between the RAM chips are the ones I want. And just for posterity's sake, I suppose, I'll demonstrate. So this is the 1041. See, we've got a 10 microfarad, 25 volt. And I might just check to see what these ones are. 20 microfarad, 10 volt. Okay, those ones I don't know off the top of my head where there's replacement, but we'll find one. So we want 20 microfarad, 10 volt, 402. That's okay. And we go to a 3437 board. This cap here, 10 microfarad, 25 volt. So it's yeah, it's a direct replacement for what we want on the big side. And once we've done that, we will then, oops, you can't see. We will then swap out the 402 one, the 20 microfarad one. Kind of helps if I use the proper temperature. Oh, I don't actually know whether it's a cap fault, as in a manufacturing issue, that's making these caps have issues, or whether it's just simply the presence of the junk that builds up. Now, I mean, obviously the junk's going to cause some issues, but it seems a little excessive. Yeah, I know that's a Hershey's Kiss there, but we'll fix that up in a bit. Alright, we'll go back to the schematics, and what is it? We want 20 microfarad, 10 volt. Search, find a part. My mouse is giving me grief. So 20 microfarad, 10 volt, 402. Just jump that radius up a little bit, 50. Search. 1598, 1700, 138. I might have 138. $29.15's got them. The only trouble is, I mean, we'll encounter plenty of boards that have a lot of that gunk building up, and the caps don't fail in that way. But for some reason, the caps are failing that way on this and the 239, I think. Alright, looks like everything's got these caps. Let's see. Kind of hoping the 3437 comes up. No? Okay, we'll go for the 3332. Except we got gypped. About the 2915. Damn it. Alright, so this is why the search radius helps. See, unfortunately we picked up 220 instead of 20. It's actually a rather unusual value, to be honest. I'm going to guess most of these are going to be overlaps. Ooh. 4 volts. $163. Yep, overlap. It's going to be interesting. Okay, what board do I have here? Got a 239. It's probably not going to be any chop. Mystery board. Plenty of 840s, 875s. Other mystery boards. What I can do is just put a 10 microfarad one on there. It's not going to be perfect, but at least it will work. It's very frustrating that I've got these chicken middle boards and I actually don't know what they are. Tony, I've got a squillion caps, but this is just a case of every now and then you get a cap that you just don't have, and I can pretty much guarantee you DigiKey will not have this as a cap kit. 20 microfarad 10 volt is a very unusual value. It's not even a standard standard value, because normally you'd expect 22 microfarad, that sort of thing, not 20 microfarad. Yeah, stuff this. Alright, we're just going to go with 10 microfarad, 10 volts. It's almost guaranteed, no matter how many caps you've got in stock, and I've got hundreds of them, you'll always have gaps. The easy thing for me to do is just get donor boards. Okay, 10 microfarad, 402, 10 volt. I'll see if I've got something slightly larger. 100 nanofarad. 0.1. 1063, 1. 2U2. Yeah, no. even these are quite expensive. These are just the 10 microfarad 10 volts. They're not even 20 microfarad, and yet they're pretty damn pricey as they are. That's why I always tend to rebuff people when they say that Apple makes cheap, electronic sort of thing. It's like, it must cost them quite a bit to get these high-spec type caps, because they're really pushing the density on these things. Being these are so different, maybe that's why. It is possible, Barry, yes. Given that they are really pushing the limits on the density, the microfarad and voltage density. So yes, maybe they're sort of like just big. Ultimately, you're creating a more fragile cap, at least for this sort of thing, because it'll have more layers in it, which will be thinner, more susceptible to vibration, or I've got I got 10 microfarad 10 volt. That's no problem. 20 microfarad 10 volt in a 402 package. That's some slightly exclusive stuff there. Or on, say, the iPhone 6, you get I think it's a 15 microfarad 6.3 in a 50 microfarad 6.3 in a 402 package, I think it is. You just don't find those things around normally. So yeah, Apple gets to create some interesting cap sizes. I mean, they've got enough clout; they can do it. Oh, sorry folks, thanks. Always catches me out, that one particular switch over. For this particular fix, I actually do not wash the board. It's just give it a pretty good clean here. I'm not finished by any means here yet. I don't bother washing it for these faults. But what I do, however, do after I've done this is I cover it with UV mask, so that we don't tend to get a repeat of what caused it in the first place. Probably one more application should do it. Get rid of that solder ball. Just gotta answer a message. I'm just gonna mute you all, I'm sorry. Alright, so let's see, there's a couple of little solder balls in there I'm just gonna flick out. May as well while we've got the opportunity. Okay. Before I put UV cure on that, I guess I best test it to see if it actually stays up. Yeah, Barry, YouTube, from a couple of months ago, YouTube, I just fell off their algorithm, and like at one point I was doing 400 or 500 people attending streams, and I wasn't doing anything special for that. And then all of a sudden, well, I shouldn't say all of a sudden, but something changed, and now I'm lucky to get 100 and 150. So I suspect a lot of people are probably watching the Olympics right now. Okay, so we're at 20 volts. We're going to see whether we get a couple of amps. We may have replaced the wrong cap for all we know. It's kind of weird, it's stuck at 70, 80 milliamp, which is quite unusual. Yeah, that's particularly weird. So it's still not quite fixed. We do not have a hotspot there anymore. But yeah, we're stuck at 70 odd milliamp. That's disappointing. Yeah, really not sure what's going on there. You might not get a proper reading, but you should still at least get something heading up that way. Yes, it's sitting in at 70. Well, guess we'll see. It might be a case of the 1041 does really want its battery, but we'll see. We'll plug it in. So I'll put my paper rolls. You could always watch my stream on YouTube. A1990. I'm certainly not a fan of the machines where you have to reconnect the battery just to be able to get them to boot. It seems like a bit of a an easy way to create more failures. Kenny Winden. Okay, we're up to 600. That could just be a drive in the back of the screen. There's 700, 800. Could also just be charging the battery. Hey Greg, morning to you. 1 amp. We're going to be booting around about now. I have a horrible feeling we're just charging the battery. .4 amps. That should have been booting by now. .67. Yeah, the way it's going up, that just feels like it's battery charge. I don't have any recommendation on knife. Maybe 2.2. You in DFU mode or something? Click. Ah, shit. I mean, oh dear. Do you have cap locks? No caps. Do have click, but that... Yeah. Well, that's not looking good. I've got no heat on CPU or GPU. Maybe not such a problematic thing, but I do wonder if this is actually just sitting in DFU mode or something. Yeah, because it's certainly not coming up there. I'll just fire up the Mac behind me. Are you awake, Mac? You are. Very good. Unfortunately, you do not have a mouse. Mouse. And someone has taken the little dongle thingy for it. Every time I tell myself, do not separate the dongles and things like that, I think I managed to have success adhering to that for, well, I don't know, a couple of days. And then lo and behold, I misplaced the damn dongle. Seriously, where is it? I'll just go check in the other room. Couldn't find it, so guess what I did is I stole it from another machine. Okay. Close later, remind me of tomorrow. Well, hopefully this will have enough charge in it, although it is pushing out about 3.4 amp. That's a pretty serious level of charge. Fortunately, I've got another USB-C device here. Okay. What I'm not sure of is when these devices go into DFU mode, do you still need to explicitly try and actually boot them to DFU mode again? The other problem I've got is I'm using a Thunderbolt to USB-C adapter. Sometimes I find they prefer to be talking USB to USB-C. I can never really seem to get any sort of rhythm or rhyme with it. Damn it. Why does my workshop have so much crap in it? Okay, I'll try to disconnect the battery. Oh shoot, yeah. There could be another issue holding it down anyway. But it doesn't look overly promising at this point. I mean, I'm not even getting any sort of activity whatsoever. So I've got the 20 volts and it does charge properly, but that's pretty much all I've got. Yeah, Salam, that's why I'm concerned, because it's not even bringing that up, even though it is drawing 70 milliamps. So it's looking a little bit ominous. Oh, and I just found out where that extra dongle went. Oh well, I'll live and learn. It's actually sitting at 100 milliamps. Oh no, there goes 90, 100. Oh yeah, here we go. We've come up. Yep, we've got Apple controller. So, a bit hard to see from that angle, but yeah, we do have the Apple controller, but that doesn't actually mean much. I've had plenty where, let's see, advanced. I've had plenty where the controller will talk to the iMac, but then that's it. It doesn't do anything else. Configurator could not perform the requested action. Well, no flippin' surprise, eh? Yummy steak. Well, we're not actually sure that this is guaranteed actually in DFU state. It could be just something else. Mind you, the fact that it actually connected up sort of implies that it was sitting in DFU. But it is sitting at 100 milliamp instead of 70. Could mean there's another problem somewhere on another line, drawing that extra 30 milliamp. And maybe that's something I've got to find. Pardon me. Come on. It's downloading system at the moment. Waiting. Let's check this. The Olympics are on Earth. It's installing the system now. Yeah, Miles, believe me, I'm actually not enjoying the fact that I'm in shorts. I have barely worn jeans. In fact, maybe once or twice. It's ridiculous. It really is. It has become uncomfortably warm in winter. Okay, I don't like it when it stalls like this at this installing portion. Usually it's a precursor to a failure. I see once I complained it started moving forward. And we are back down to 74 milliamp. Interesting, I wonder what the extra 30 was for. worst smelling thing you've ever had a customer spill on a laptop? Yeah, I'm not too sure what. Let's see. There was one I sent back. Like I barely even opened it. I just shut it straight off and back. Just sent it off. Said no thank. Look, I just can't do this. Sorry. Still got nothing on screen though. I might go get another machine while we wait for this one. Sure is taking a long time for the installing system phase. I hope it's not doing anything disastrous. We're still sitting at 7080. Alright, well, while that's doing its thing, I may as well get started on this job. Harry Rest, what did you reball? Oh, hello, yep, it's got an alert about something. What's going on here? Apple controller is not booted. Click restore to update the device to the latest firmware. Right. I do believe if I click restore, it, yeah. Can I back up? Can't perform the action. Bloody hell. I'm not sure, I'm gonna have to double check, but I'm pretty sure if you hit restore on that, then you basically wipe the whole machine. And I don't think the customer's gonna be too happy about that. I mean, it may be they've got no choice, but I want to find out, or at least give them the option to grieve about it before I do it. Particularly considering there's no guarantee it will actually work. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Alright, well, let's see what this 1502 is going to do to us. Seems to be boot, fires up. 2 amps, it's either a fat short or it's... And we do indeed appear to have nothing. Well, it still seems to be alive and running, but yeah, maybe the display's cactus. So what do we got? We've got a 4924 board here. Seven five six. Eight two zero 4924. Catherine, you're as bad as me for finding those cats. This is probably trackpad cable or something. That was actually quite difficult to get that one off. I mean, those battery connectors can be tricky. Alrighty. Let's see, what's the screen cable look like? Yep, backlight's been fried. Okay, I can see the corrosion already. As soon as you flip up the lock tab, it shows itself pretty quickly. Yeah, looks like someone got some liquid in there. Yucky yuck. Yeah, hopefully they haven't ruined the cable. If they have, that's fine. I can get another one. The cable looks pretty good, so that's a bonus. So I'd say, yeah, maybe the connector's a bit dodgy. Maybe the fuse blew. Please don't. Oh, god damn it! Alright, this board's coming out. Ugh. I hate it when the keyboard backlight connector gets messed up, because they're actually quite rare to find. The PCB side isn't a problem, but the one that's hard to find is the actual plug, you know, on the keyboard backlight side. I've already stolen enough from existing chassis in the past. Anyway, hope we've got a backlight fault here and we can get that fixed up. I can smell burning and I don't like that. It's not this computer. Kind of smells like soldering iron burning. Like that time that I was complaining about the burning and it ended up being my soldering iron tip trying to melt its way through the floor. Travis, unfortunately I have not found an iPhone connector that matches that one. That's the problem. I think there's a couple of iPads that will have it, but iPhones, as far as I can find, do not have it. So yeah, that's the problem. Because in many cases, yes, we do find replacement connectors from the iPhones that we can utilize. But this particular one, yeah, I haven't been able to find a replacement. The A1502 took 2 amps originally, open in front just now, something toasting. No, it was that was the battery charging. And the smell is not... What I can smell is more wood type fire, not electronics. Come on, let you come. Yeah, chicken. Come on. Yeah, good little thingamajig. Okay, I think we have everything disconnected that I care about. Gently lifted up by the... There we go. Yeah, I've got liquid damage all along the back here, so yeah. Okay, this is gonna be mostly a janitorial fix, I hope. Could do with that. A cell shop from the Philippines. There's corrosion there, up there. So it could be a few things knocked out on this one. Obviously we're going to have to replace the connector itself. That's not a big problem. It's nice to think that these days when you see a destroyed destroyed LCD connector, it doesn't fill you with fear or anything. You just sort of go, just replace it. Whereas when you get started in this sort of thing, when you're confronted with a backlight connector, you're going to oh my goodness, LCD connector. Like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? They're so hard. You watch, because of that, I'm now probably going to have a difficult time with it. Okay, so that's definitely, yeah. I'm a little worried there could have been secondary issues. Funny that it picked out both the CD3211s. The backlight controller seems fine, so I'd say, well, maybe we're lucky, maybe the fuse popped. Unlikely, but let's have a look. Ah, shame Badger Monkey got this better. Thank you, Badger Monkey. Yeah, Lewis just does that for show. Fuse is good. Like anyone's surprised about that. Let's have a look at the connector edge on. Edge on, you wouldn't really think of blaming that connector like that, but we'll definitely replace it. And we'll clean this up too. Alright, may as well just get straight to it. No point dawdling around. Now, Victoria. Ni hama. Right, I just need to shield off that backlight, this keyboard backlight connector, and the SSD connector. It's one of the few boards that I have to do this to. Now I could just dive in and become a real brute. And yeah, just smash that connector off, but I prefer not to. Because there's always the risk that you over smash it and you end up ripping a pad or something like that. So if you don't have to, then don't. But I guess it all comes down to personal preference. Yeah, so that comes off easy enough without having to get crazy. Who do you think is the best in the Mac repair industry? That's actually a really good question. I think it comes down to the various models, but I would probably say Paul S. Paul S is the best, I'd say, or at least that I'm aware of, when it comes to solving complex faults or obscure faults. But like I said, it comes down to what area you're talking about. Everybody has their sort of preference, specialities. But if I'm dealing with a complicated board, then I would probably start trying to chase Paul S. or Duke if he was still around. But as you can see, I'm sort of focusing more on the intellectual side. Aside from just knowing what you're trying to look for, there's also the physical skill of being able to do the work, and that is another set of questions again. You could be really good at diagnosing things and picking out the faults, but you might suck really bad at actually implementing the repair. Well, all those connectors look pretty good there. All those pins. So it's kind of making me wonder why the backlight's not showing through. I'm a little worried it might be something more substantial. Okay, what am I got here? What have I got? Got the wrong box here. Looking at the iPhone stuff and wondering why there was no LVDS connectors in it. I think it's pretty self-explanatory once you realise that you picked up the iPhones. Okay. Unfortunately, I still do not have proper replacements. I've only got these non-keyed ones, which are, yeah, it's tolerable, but it's not ideal. Tim Herman, of course, is also very good. He has an excellent recall, memory, and stuff like that. So yeah, there's some pretty good repair people out there. I've probably already pissed off a few people by not mentioning them, but don't take it personally. It's just a case of I can't remember everything. I'm just doing the tack down here because I don't have those physical keys on the connector. I kind of have to do this little bit of trickery, tacking it down. Now it's going to be slightly off, but it's not a major problem. Okay. Right now you're probably thinking, my goodness, Paul, that's hideous, but you know, it works itself out really well in a little bit. Certainly I find the most frustrating thing for me at the moment is that I will forget the most blatant, obvious things that I should be remembering every time I come to a new job. And it's just like, why didn't I remember that sequence of the diagnosis? Just stuff like that. And it's extremely frustrating. Particularly if you've got people watching you or reviewing your work and they're kind of like, what the hell's wrong with you, man? You know, everyone knows that's a basic thing, and you're like, sometimes your brain just takes a walk on you. Pionov is another. I just haven't seen Pionov do a lot of MacBook work. I mean, I know he does, but I guess I just haven't seen any videos of it, so I can't make much of an assessment. Leonov is definitely another very knowledgeable person. And he enjoys mocking me anytime he gets a chance. I think for me, half of it is also because I don't really care to specialize in knowing all that stuff. If I can Google it, then I'm happy. For me, I tend to be a little bit too much of a jack of all trades. You can't mock the French. And if you're wondering, the hot air is just 250. So it's not like hot air, it's just warm. Yeah, it looks like I need more flux on those two. This board, compared to the previous one, most definitely does need to go into the ultrasonic clean. Alright, now we do the individual pins. I really don't know what the temperature should be in Fahrenheit, but for me I tend to run my Hacko at 390 centigrade. So I'll let those who choose not to partake in the miracle of metric work it out themselves. Just slowly absorbing the excess solder on that bridge there. There we go. And I think there's a subtle bridge back there. It might have been a bit of flux, but I didn't want to take the chance. Anyway, that's all looking good. Get rid of this ugly sticker. Alright. Need to clean that up a bit. The ultrasonic cleaner will actually do a better job of this connector than my soldering will. I'm just trying to get some heat there so that the flux will do a little bit of a job of cleaning up the junk. Okay. Hey, whiz kids. Now we have to go through and... Now there's a lot of trash out the back here. We need to make note of what has been affected. If I was going to blame something, I'm kind of curious what this sucker is. So we'll go to the board view and have a look. Yeah, Steve, usually, of course, as we know, jack of all trades, master of none is essentially how you spend most of your life. Okay, it's this thing here. Looks like that's just an audio amplifier. Okay, that's not critical, but I will lift it anyway, because I have a feeling that the corrosion probably has chewed into it. So at least if I lift it, I can check the pins, and if it looks too bad, then I can re-ball it and put it back down. Well, Miles, that is sort of what Microsoft does with Windows. You know, it doesn't excel in a great number of things compared to other operating systems, but overall it's good enough, cheap enough, widespread enough that it became dominant. No one said SMC Reball. I haven't had one of those in a while, thankfully. I mean, like I said, I don't mind doing them, but it's also nice not to have to do them. Okay, the little symbol is up the top. Yeah, it's looking okay. That little cap, on the other hand, was not. Yeah, the cap was just pretty much a jelly bean, 100 nanofarad. We'll put a replacement on. Nothing special. Ah, damn it. When you want 4924s, you can't find them. When you want 3662s, you can't find them. It's just, yep. That's the way it goes. I'm Michael Villman. That's a very pretty looking board, this one. Almost looks too pretty, to be honest. Oh, what's going on here? Oh, I know what this board is. This board is the one that it's got a 3 beep issue. Funnily enough, if I take this chip off, that solves the 3 beep issue. Because it won't have an audio amplifier anymore. So it'll be beeping in silence. Alright, let's just go and flux and boil these things. Like I said, they really shouldn't be impacting on the display output. So I'm kind of suspecting that maybe the cable for the display output is butchered and will need replacing. Trying to avoid melting anything on the inside of these connectors. The other possibility is there could be damage to some of this, though it doesn't quite look like it, but this is where the data for the screen comes across. The screen is AC coupled or capacitively coupled, so your data signals come in through these pairs over the capacitor, and that provides an isolation between the CPU or GPU and the actual screen output. That's right, we had these guys. What do you guys do? CPU, PCH, merged, XDP. That's DisplayPort. Okay. I wonder if that's having anything to do with it. Hi Victor, good evening to you. Just checking over the rest of the board to see if there's something else I've missed, but it does seem like it's primarily just run up the side. We'll see what the continuity and diode mode is for that. That's interesting, actually. Those pins, these pins up here that we have the dramas with, on these particular displays, they're actually the clock and data lines. So backlight, clock and data, so that could explain what's going on there. You do have the 3v3 EDP going in there, but your actual backlight is down here. Oh no, no, yes, wait, what? Backlight. Oh, no, my bad. You're a moron, Daniels. Anyway, let's connect it and see. We don't want to go putting unwanted amounts of flux on the back chassis. It's already going to be bad enough that I'm even putting this back in here. The board isn't in properly. And I may get some flux on the display connector. Hopefully it shouldn't be too much drama. Well, let's just see if that boots. I just noticed there's actually liquid damage on the daughter board. That could have been what's holding it down. And that, yeah. It makes me worry about the keyboard now. Yeah, well, and we need a boot stick of some sort. Harry West. It wasn't the ISL on the first. Oh, well, you know, Barry, we actually don't know that for sure. We don't know that 100%. It could still also be a faulty ISL. I mean, agreeably it's charging and such, but yeah, sometimes you can get these things where it will charge, but the ISL still is playing silly buggers. Anyway, let's see if this one boots. Being a 4924, this thing is not going to fan spin for a little bit. Shetton Shah. I have a MacBook 1708 boot looping when trackpad is connected and working fine when disconnected. Have you tried trackpad and cable? Flex? I don't think it's guaranteed that an ISL fault will not give you 20 volts. I think a lot of them will deny you getting 20 volts, but not all of them. Alright, we're still not getting... Oh, yes we are. There we go. Your computer restarted because of a problem. Press a key or please wait. So we got our backlight. We're alive. Alright, so really that now just has to go into the ultrasonic. The corrosion damage that was on there I don't think is severe enough to cause any further issues. This daughter board will probably have to be replaced. We're going to take that out when this is... In fact, you know what? Just kill that. Okay, we know we've got a screen running now. Which is good. What am I missing here? Why is this stuck? No, there shouldn't be flux in that. Seriously, this is... What's scary is there's no contact there. And there's no drawing of the flux. That was just jammed in a very strange kind of way. Right, scary much. Thought I was going to have to break that one out. Alright, so we're going to have to take this daughter board out. Because like I said, it has got the damage there, and if we look at the... Oh, there it is. No, it's not the wrong chassis. Well, this is the chassis that it came with. It's the right one. Yeah, if we look at the connector there, there's... You can see the smidge of corrosion on there. So it's not unusual for this particular model to be inhibited from booting because of a bad daughter board. But like I said, my real worry here at this point is now, it's like, has this thing got a keyboard issue as well? You know, is this turning away from being a nice direct backlight job to a this is not economical to fix because you need to replace your backlight, you replace your main board, whatever, replace the flexes, replace the daughter board, replace the keyboard. All of a sudden it changes from being a viable job to a let's just throw it away, put it in the trash job. Okay. And of course times like that I've got to decide, well, how little profit am I willing to take before I give up on this job? No, that's the weird thing, is none of the contacts are bent or anything. It was very bizarre, whatever happened just then. A bit of nastiness there. This might be okay if I throw it in the ultrasonic. We'll give it a bit of a flux and yeah. Oh, that's better. Yeah, I'll just flux and boil this a little bit, and then we'll just throw it in the ultrasonic with the rest of the board. It'll probably be okay. Obviously I'll test it before I send it back to the customer, let alone even invoice them. What are we doing for time? 12:30. Getting time for me to go back to the workstation, the keyboard, get some programming done. I've got a new feature I want to implement for Flexboard View. One thing I've been finding while I've been doing data capture is that while capturing the data for these connectors, things like this, is all good, as in, you know, I just sort of do that part capture facility and away I go, be it odd and even or linear. But where things have become frustrating is when you want to capture just an area of test pads or something like that. So like, say you want to do this. At the moment, let's see if I bring up the quad, we'll go full schematic. Damn mouse. Okay, so say you go to this area here and you want to put the data in, because it does, let's see, they do contain possibly useful things like RTC or whatever. At the moment you have to right click, punch in the data, press enter and send it up. But what would be nicer is if you just if you can just select that, all of those items, right click and then say edit selection. And so that's what I'm working on now. And then that way you can still use the foot switch and everything else is nice and easy. It captures the data directly from the multimeter, so you don't have to type in with the keyboard. It seems like a pretty straightforward feature. It has already given me some grief though, but you know, it wouldn't be programming if it didn't give you grief. What was that noise? Right, and at this point, oh, I suppose I better take that off. Travis, glad to hear. Travis, have you got 1350 or 1355 if you're on Linux? Always good to keep up with the very latest release. But I'm glad you're enjoying it. And the more importantly is it actually helping you make money? Yeah. Hey, Gregory W. And I think that's the key thing that people have to, I wouldn't say understand or anything like that, but if you're not here to make money, if you're just tinkering around, then buy Open Board View. No troubles with it at all. It's a great program. Pionov now looks after it a lot more than I did before. But if you're doing it commercially, then yeah, Flex Board View. And I just spotted something on the CPU right here that I need to definitely fix, because that could actually kill the machine. Yeah, if you're doing this stuff commercially, then if the cost of Flex Board View makes you grimace, then you probably need to reevaluate how you're doing business. Alright, yeah, see that? That's bad news. And the worst thing is that is a gate. So that was really fortunate. But yeah, that's a gate drive right there. And you really don't want gates being influenced by external power. Let's get schematics. Which one is that? Second from the bottom. Okay, fortunately it looks like it's the lower one. Okay, in this case we are lucky. That short that was happening, that corrosion, is happening between this pin here and these ones here. So it's basically, I think so. Yep, okay. So what was happening is the driver would be sending power to the gate to try and drive the gate. And what was happening is that corrosion was causing the energy to go from the gate straight to ground. And that's not a bad thing, because effectively, well actually no, wait, that is a bad thing. Because if you pull the gate to ground, then it actually shuts, which means then when the high side comes on, you're not going to be pulling it low again. Well, all we know is that we got lucky. Yeah, real lucky. Because if you short out the low side MOSFET on these these controllers, it's not a problem, because all that means is that all your power just gets straight dumped into ground. It causes a bit of heating and shorting, but it doesn't cause an excessive voltage which would kill your CPU or GPU. So if you're going to have a short, that's probably the better way to go, but that's still not great. It makes me wonder how that even got there. Do need to shore that up. That's going to be a bit of a pain. As much as I don't want to heat that up, I think I'm going to have to. Because it's eaten the pin a little bit too much, which means it could be ingressing into the body. So basically I have to replace that. And like I said, it's not really something I want to do. Especially considering the board works, but it probably won't work for too much longer. Oh crap, my pants. Just trying to get that protective plastic barrier off. There we go. Yeah, I'm going to have to take that off because I'm worried that the corrosion is working its way in, and at some point it's going to be a bad day for the machine. Gregory, yes, if you want to get OB data now, then you have to get the latest version because it's all done from the server now. It's a bit of a two-step process to get it from the server, but yeah, it is there, and we've got a lot more data now. I think we've got close to 6,000 data points now. What's the bet I knock this screw mount thing off? Damn it, my tweezers are bent in a wrong kind of way. Well, look at that, that was doing a fine job eating away there. Hopefully I can find hopefully these MOSFETs are the same type. Yeah, they do take heat. Well, I mean, they're meant to. Damn it, that's not the same type. The reason why I want the same type is because there are some subtleties. This is looking like the same type to me. Are they? A12J. Pretty sure that's what the other ones were. There are some subtleties between the brains of MOSFETs. Yeah, A12J, that's what we want. And if you mix them up, then you may cause some issues with the regulation. This is burned up traces inside. Oh, okay, that's cool. I'm not at full air on this one, I'm only at 90 air. So it does take a little bit longer, but hopefully it's a bit safer. I gotta say, that was a pretty unusual sort of spotting, that one. There's a damn hair in there. Damn it, get out of there. It was just pure luck that I found that. Customer would have found it later though. What actually led me to it was I was looking at the solid state drive, and on the back of it I saw this, and I thought, hey, wait a second, that's right next to this. Well, that is where this goes, and then that's why I took the moment to look at the CPU area. Anyway, hopefully this thing will just sit down nicely. There's not really a lot of point in me trying to rebuild that gate. Fortunately, gates do not require a lot of energy, like a lot of current. Well, that's not strictly true, but I'm gonna put it. You don't need to have super thick traces with gates. You do want to have relatively low impedance because you want the gate to react as quick as possible. Come on, get on down, buddy. You're almost there. There we go. I guess I should say there's not a lot of power going through to the gate. There is the gate charge that goes in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out really quickly, many times. But in terms of overall power, it's not a massive amount. I really hope that's sitting down properly. I kind of feel a little bit anxious about it. Probably going to regret this. Come on, give me some assistance here. No regrets. The T47M, no, that won't be important. That will probably be they'll probably either be a manufacturing date or something. Damn, that's a rivet from the other night. No, in this case what matters is we've got the A12J and then the A18J. So these are, let's see, they're all N-channel MOSFETs, but they're just different types. Yeah, because if we actually look at the schematic, you see here it's like, oops, SIS A18, A12. So yeah, we're good. I mean, you could say, well, there could be variances in the dates, and I do concur there could be, but I don't think it's going to be quite that sensitive. Alright, we did our job properly, I hope. Resistor down at the MOSFET looks effed up. Which one are you talking about? Can't see any effed up resistors. Everything looks perfectly fine to me. That one there is fine. That one there I think is actually a filter. Cap. These seem fine. Yeah, I don't know what you're referring to, if you are referring to something amongst that. Alright. Alright, well, that's it. I'm out for the night. Gotta go do some coding while the brain is moderately fresh. These will go into the ultrasonic tomorrow. Yeah. And, well, we'll see how it goes. And I'm not sure what's going on with that A1990. I'll have to talk to the customer and see, you know, what their situation is on the data. They may or may not be willing to take the risk. I'm not sure, so we'll find out. Alright. Yeah, Carlos, they often do. That's because you spotted the laser etching that trims the value on the resistor, and sometimes it just looks like there's a hole in it, but it's not. Okay, I'm out of here. You take care. Maybe see you tomorrow. Until then, catch you later.